Hey everybody, this is Cameron from Obnoxious and Anonymous, and welcome to the Twin Peaks Thought of the Day for Wednesday, November 22nd, 2017. It is Thanksgiving Eve here in the States, and so why not? Let's have Joey here and let's talk Twin Peaks.
Hello, everyone.
It's so great to have you here, Joey. I'm happy to be doing this on Thanksgiving Eve.
Yes.
Because, a lot of people are going to be traveling tomorrow and stuff like that. So I figured, hey, this is the perfect time, to let's just sit back and discuss what news there is in the Twin Peaks world. And actually, there is a little
tiny bit,
a little bit, nothing too huge, but still something worth discussing.
Yeah.
And and obviously we're also on the eve of my Indiegogo campaign launching tomorrow morning. So definitely wanted to get the word out there as well. And I'll be doing a live video tomorrow morning. I'm not sure what time yet, but I'm sure notifications will be beeping everywhere when I actually go live. So you'll be right there with me when I get frustrated and Indiegogo starts yelling back at me that I have to do this and that. I'll be like, screaming and stuff like that. So so please come and join me early in the morning. We're talking between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. on the West Coast. So obviously if on the East Coast, you'll be fine.
on Joey time.
Yeah, on Joey time. So anyway, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited for Thanksgiving. That's probably one of my favorite holidays of the year. I'm excited to have a little bit of Twin Peaks news. The Blu-ray also comes out pretty soon, so there's something. We have a little something to keep us going.
But like the final dossier, the Blu-ray set, I've already gotten contacted by Amazon saying that I probably won't get it until like between the 12th and the 17th.
Maybe somebody at YouTube and somebody at Amazon are talking, Cameron.
No, because other people have told me that it's the same thing for them.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, I
have not pre-ordered yet, so I'll let you know how my.
You know what I would do in your shoes? Honestly, I would go to like Best Buy and just pick it up the day it comes out and price match it.
That's not a bad idea.
That's what I would do. But I don't know. Anyway, so we were discussing prior to this starting the podcast actually. So last night I bought Twin Peaks season 1 and season 2 on Vudu, the streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1 was $10 and season 2 was $20. But right now Vudu has a deal where if you spend $25 or more in this week, I think next couple weeks, you will get $5 back. So it's a pretty good deal. So basically for what, $25, I get season 1, season 2 on streaming. But I wasn't sure about doing it at first because if you watch them on Netflix, like if you watch Twin Peaks season 1 and 2 on Netflix on your computer, it's in the proper 1:3 to 1 aspect ratio. But if you watch it on Netflix on your TV, for whatever reason, it stretches it out. And not like, where it just turns it into 16:9. I mean, like it stretches it out. It looks really bad. So I was like unsure about it. Like, oh, is that how it's gonna look on Vudu? And I bought season 1. I figured, okay, $10, check it out. And no, it was in the perfect 1:3 1 aspect ratio.
Okay, good.
So I was super happy about that. So that gave me the confidence to purchase season 2. And it's funny because, if you were to tell me this years ago that like, okay, you'd own it on DVD. First of all, I have the VHS original versions of it. Then I have the DVD box sets. And then I have the Blu-ray set. I was so stupid. I need to rebuy it on the Artisan DVD because the Artisan DVD box set had commentaries on it from the other directors.
Oh, okay.
That they never ported over to the other box sets. So I need to rebuy that.
Now I think I need to as well.
Well, you can get it pretty cheap too. I mean, if you can go on eBay, Amazon sellers, whatever. I mean, you can get it fairly cheap, but still it's like something like, oh God, now I have to own it again. But it's fine though, because the Artisan box set, honestly, besides the Blu-ray, it's the best it's ever looked on DVD because it was only 2 episodes per disc. So, I mean, the bit rate was incredible.
Enormous. That's great. Yeah. I haven't watched it on that the box set.
Yeah, so But you know, if you were to say to me, okay, you're going to own it on all these formats, and then you're going to buy it on streaming, I'd be like, you're a fool. Like, how lazy do you have to be? And in all honesty, I don't think it's laziness at this point. I think it's honestly like, if especially anyone who deals with that Blu-ray box set, right? I mean, there's so many people who talk about that their boxes fall apart, the discs get scratched because you're trying to pull them out. Even if you're, listen, I'm like a surgeon when it comes to taking Blu-rays out of box sets. I'm super careful, you know. But still, though, it's annoying to have to always bring out the box set.
I agree.
You pop it in. Wait, I know it's first world problems, but still, it's you do worry about just like, oh God, if something happens, I'm gonna have to rebuy this box set again, right?
I mean, I had one of the little latches from one of the discs fall out, and now I have to like try to, you know, juggle it so that.
But see, you are a responsible adult. I would have already rebought that box set for that issue.
See, I don't know if I'd do that, but
you're
next level.
Well, no, things like that would drive me nuts, especially about something that I really cared about. You know, if it was my Twilight box set, maybe not. But Twin Peaks, no, because I'm going to be watching that over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought, you know what? It's probably best to just have a streaming version, especially when it looks that good. And then I don't have to worry about taking the discs out, and I can just leave it on the box in their box on the shelf. And so, like, if there's ever, you know, no internet or, you know, something else, I have the hard copies available, but I don't always have to go to the hard copies to watch it. And it's great because, you know, tomorrow I'm going to be on an airplane going to visit my mom and for Thanksgiving. So I wanted to, you know, download some episodes and watch it on the plane. And, you know, just in case I do crash and burn, I can at least be, you know, looking at my favorite show.
Oh, man.
I hope this video doesn't become like the premonition video where people are like, he called it beforehand. So
Black fire, Cameron.
Oh my God.
There's a fire where you are going.
Oh, please, let's not go there. But anyway, do you think it's laziness, or where do you stand right now in terms of owning discs? And okay, because season 3, I don't know if people don't know this or not, but Showtime never, they'll drop a digital copy to buy, but when you buy the Blu-ray, it will not include a digital copy. HBO typically will have a digital copy with their Blu-ray, but Showtime won't. So you will be purchasing it twice anyway if you want a digital version. So that being said, where are you in terms of owning discs? And let's say it doesn't come with a digital copy, buying a digital copy as well.
See, for me, I'll get the you know, the hard disk first. And luckily with Twin Peaks, it's been out for a while, so you could get the seasons fairly cheap digitally. Now for season 3, I'm going to get the hard disk, and then I'm going to wait for the price to drop on the digital, and then probably pick it up. But I'm in a place where, yeah, I want to, especially with Twin Peaks, with something I know I'll watch a lot, I'll buy the digital. I'll, you know, buy it again.
Well, you know, it's
I
funny.
do that with music too.
Right. I mean, right now, season 3 is not available digitally. And this is rare for Showtime, because even when like Homeland comes out, you can buy it like the day the premiere episode drops or even before. And so every time a new episode drops, you'll get that, right? But they don't. But Showtime did not do that for Twin Peaks, and I was shocked. I mean, knowing David Lynch, you know, I'm not shocked, but I am shocked too, because there's still like, it's still you know, a network, and there's commerce, and they need money. So
oh yeah, do you think it's a play to get people to buy the Blu-ray?
Yeah, but I think it's gonna drop day and date of the Blu-ray. I will again be shocked if it doesn't come out.
Yeah, I will be too.
A day or two around the Blu-ray. But this was brought up to my attention the other day, and frankly, I didn't even think about it because I've never had to think about it. They never drop the missing pieces on iTunes or on Vudu, or you can't buy it streaming as a separate thing.
Whoa. I didn't realize that.
So yeah. So even if season 3 comes out, right, digitally, which I'm sure it will, don't think for a second any of those extras from that Blu-ray set are going to drop with it. So you'll still have to buy the Blu-ray set if you want to see any of the extras.
Okay.
Which is fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I already know. Listen, I already pre-budgeted for to buy it digitally
Both.
anyway, because when it came out, I remember going, okay, I'm getting Showtime per month, and then I said, okay, I'm just gonna have to just bite the bullet and pay $50 for the digital copy as well because I thought it was gonna be simultaneous with the Showtime broadcast, but they never did that. So, all right, I'm gonna have to just buy it when it comes out anyway. Because listen, I don't care how good that Blu-ray set looks, and it will look amazing.
I know. I'm so excited.
Right? I'm not thrilled with the way they're packaging the disc because it's a lot like the original series that they're complete mystery box set. And I'm sorry, like, I don't care how careful you are, eventually someone's going to talk to you, you're going to turn your head and you're going to pull the disc out and it's going to get nicked. So it's best to honestly, and I'm not hired by Showtime to say this, but it's best to have one version they don't have to worry about and just pull it out for the extras when you want to later.
No, I'm in agreement there. I've gotten to that place. I wasn't always like that. I was pretty reckless with my Blu-rays, DVDs, but now I'm at a point where I also just want it because I go places like I'm out a lot and sometimes I have nothing to do and I want to watch it.
Exactly. So
I like having both.
Anyway,
it's a show that warrants having both, I think.
I agree. And season 1 and 2 look phenomenal on Vudu. I'm sure on iTunes as well. But I just want to let people know that I bit the bullet last night. Bought them.
Bullet, baby.
Exactly, Jacques. But they are in the proper aspect ratio and they look gorgeous. So don't worry about it. If you need to get them, right now is a good time. $30 total, but really $25 with the $5 discount. So
I mean, I think that's a good deal.
It's pretty good considering most people, bought the gold box set for like $50 when it came out. So, but I gotta watch episode 14 to see which version is it. Is it the Blu-ray version or is it the gold box version?
Fill me in. I don't.
Well, I told you, like right before Leland attacks Maddie, there's 2 extra shots.
Oh, right. Yes.
In the gold box version, but on the original broadcast and the Blu-ray, those shots aren't there. And in fact, you've seen a movie or TV show so many times when they add an extra shot and you go, wait a minute. And it wasn't even like a different like shot. It was the same shots. It just it was like one. It was 2 more cuts between before he attacks her.
Yeah, I haven't seen that version yet, so
you don't really need to. I mean, but I want to know how the hell did that happen? Because you would have to go into, you'd have to lay that on a timeline and actually make 2 different cuts and add shots. Who did that to a David Lynch directed episode?
Maybe that was the original cut and they cut a couple seconds off before it premiered or something. I don't know.
The TV and the Blu-ray is the perfect version. The DVD version, you're like, what on earth is happening? But that's just that's what happens when you have a fanatic like me watching it. So anyway, do you know this group on Twitter called the Bookhouse Babes?
Yes, I do.
They have, in my mind, just kind of seemingly come out of nowhere, and they're everywhere now on Twitter.
They're killing it. Yeah,
they're killing it. And I got to tell you, they are like really nice people. Sometimes in the fan communities, you'll meet people that run sites and sometimes they're really friendly and sometimes they're not really friendly. These people that run this site and they work with the website 25 years later, super friendly, super nice people. So,
I see their stuff every day. I'm a fan.
Well, yeah, it's either I'm liking something or something someone retweeted on, comes across my page. I see so many of their posts and they post all the time. I don't know if they have like 20 people doing it or not, because it's just like every 5 seconds there's a new retweet, a new post, and this and that. And I'm like, wow, it's incredible. But yeah, they've come out of nowhere, but they're super cool. So definitely give them your support.
I agree.
But they posted a picture tonight of, that picture we've seen in part 17 of Cooper in black and white, holding Laura's hand. And they posted the Laura script from her, I think that's from the tape, from the coconut that Jacoby had, where she says, I'm talking about how she, keeps dreaming of her mystery man.
Oh yeah.
And they kind of insinuated that it was Cooper, and I thought, well, wouldn't that be cool if they connected it like that?
Okay, I didn't see that.
Because she does mention, right? Oh, I remember you from my dream, right? Which obviously we know connects back to the Red Room. And again, interesting that they bring that up in part 17. I remember you from my dream, because you remember the night before she died, she had that same dream that Cooper had, which of course was never brought up in a Fire Walk with Me, but that's another thing altogether. But yeah, so I thought that was kind of a cool little thing. They brought up the idea that maybe, I mean, we all assumed it was Bob or something like that, but hey, if it was Cooper, that's cool too.
I mean, now it is. Now it could just as well be Cooper.
You never know. You never know.
Current canon.
Yeah, I just thought it was. I always love it when people post things that make me go, wow.
Oh.
Like, wow, I never even thought about that, but that's kind of cool. Right now, I am making people like scratch their heads, but also like blowing their minds too. The other night I was, I've always thought this, but the other night I was kind of flipping through some movies I had on streaming, and I was rewatching Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. You ever seen that movie?
A long time ago.
Okay. Well, it's a really good movie. Actually, it's one of the better of the sequels. I'm a huge fan of that series altogether, but I love part 4. But if you watch that first 20 minutes of part 4, it is like a precursor to Laura Palmer Fire Walk with Me. It very much, I mean, yeah, it's in that Freddy Krueger world, but it so feels like an excerpt from Laura Palmer's life prior to Fire Walk with Me, maybe like a year before. Really? Yeah, it's very cool.
I don't remember.
Well, I'm just saying, a lot of people don't remember. So people, you should just go back and
go watch 4.
You can watch the whole movie if you want. It's a great movie, I think. But that first 20 minutes alone, you'll definitely get a Laura Palmer vibe. Her boyfriend Rick looks a lot like Bobby Briggs. She's got the Laura Palmer look down. Again, this movie's 1988, and of course Twin Peaks supposed to be 1989, so it's similar fashion, similar looks. But then it got me thinking, like, yeah, who distributed Fire Walk with Me in the States? It was New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema, of course, is the house that Freddy built, right? So I'm really believe, honestly, that New Line Cinema distributed Fire Walk with Me thinking they were releasing an arty version of Nightmare on Elm Street. And
that's wild.
But it kind of is, isn't it? If you think about Fire Walk with Me, I mean,
yeah.
it is
all the dream talk and inside dreams coming outside dreams, being kind of terrified of this weird man.
Right. A man that attacks you in your bed. Right. Yeah. I of course it blew up in New Line's face, but I really think that they were like, you know what, let's get in bed with Lynch. Let's do this. This is going to be like an arty Nightmare on Elm Street. But what's interesting is the Blu-ray set, right, and the Criterion set. I mean, the Blu-ray from the Complete Mystery set, and then the Criterion set. New Line's nowhere near that thing. They like rebought it from New Line. So, because I know New Line moved into Warner Brothers and all that kind of thing, but I think in order to release the missing pieces, they had to buy the rights back, because that's why you see like the French company's logo in front of it. But if you have like the original DVD or the VHS, it's the New Line logos.
Okay.
But even the New Line logo doesn't even appear before Fire Walk with Me on Blu-ray at all. It's not nowhere to be found.
New Line in it, yeah.
Right. So that's an interesting development. Especially with all this reappraisal going on for Fire Walk with Me, you would think New Line Cinema, even under Warner Brothers, would be like,
try to get back on it.
Yeah. Hey, let's do this, but too little, too late, I guess. But anyway, all right. So let's get to the Lynch news that came out tonight, and it was an article that was done by the Hollywood Reporter. It's a little interview, and the title for it is David Lynch on Twin Peaks Return, quote, "I've learned never say never." Does that reek of clickbait or what?
Yes, but I did enjoy that article. But
No,
yes,
you know what though?
absolutely.
I will say this. A lot of Twin Peaks articles are complete clickbait. You click on it and you go, this is news. This is absurd. This is actually a real interview. And Lynch is not giving us his quippy, silly little answers to not answer anybody. He actually answers like a human being.
I know. It was amazing. I was like, wow, there's meat here. There's actually.
He must have had a good breakfast that morning, okay? Because he's in a good mood. He's answering things. So let's go through it. All right. So they ask, after the premiere event in LA, did you pay any attention at all to the reactions and responses to the 18 hours? And Lynch says, yes, I would hear about how it was going as it went along. Cool. You know what? Because usually, we had heard that he was spending all his time making tables and doing other things and not paying attention at all to when an episode dropped or what people thought about it. But here he's saying, yeah, I was following it.
I wonder what his version of that is, but
well, what do you mean?
Like, in what way was he following? Was he just like going onto Twitter and just scrolling through a couple of tweets, or was he reading articles? Was he watching videos? I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just happy he's paying attention at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Because usually he's just like, that's done. That's my art. Take it or leave it. I'm out.
I mean, it's such a cool thing because you didn't have this access when the original series came out. Social media.
I mean, I get, there were these like supposedly, early internet message boards. I'll tell you, as somebody who was very computer proficient, I never knew about this stuff going on at the time. So this must have been the elites of the elite of the nerd groups.
Running a Twin Peaks message board.
Yeah.
In the early 90s.
So, and I don't say nerd groups to like be offending. I'm just saying like you had to be in the know. And my family was very computer technical, and I never knew this existed at the time. Otherwise, I would have been on those. So.
Then you could pull up all the old Cameron posts from archive.org.
Oh yeah, it would have been things like, I know what happened. Laura Palmer killed Maddie and then took her place. That would have been my thing.
That was your thing back then?
I was, a lot of people were convinced of that in season 1. That Laura killed Maddie and then resumed her place to get out of all the drugs and all that thing. And because of the whole vertigo aspect, and all that. So, yeah. Huh. Anyway. Oh, yeah. You know what? Bookhouse Babes also posted a thing about vertigo, which, I mean, we always knew had something to do with Twin Peaks. But the fact is that the girl that Jimmy Stewart wants to turn Kim Novak to, well, she's Madeline before, and she's Judy afterwards. So, ha, ha,
ha. Oh, boy.
Yeah. All right.
Are you sure it's not pronounced Jowday?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So it continues on. They say, what were you looking for in terms of how audiences were reacting to it? And he says, I really love the 18 hours myself, but you never know how things are going to go over in this world. So I was just curious of how it was going. That's all. All right. Again, it's a nice answer.
Yeah. Thanks, Lynch.
So they ask, did anything surprise you or excite you about how actively engaged viewers were? And he goes, no. That was really, really good. I'll tell you, it was a total blessing how it went in the world. Sometimes it doesn't go that way. And this was really, really great. This is a man who obviously remembers what it was like when Fire Walk With Me tanked. So
I think he just liked people were picking it apart like they were.
Sure. So then they ask, there were episodes throughout the season, like the 8th hour. And I tried to imagine how Showtime executives must have responded when they saw that hour of television. Were there any kind of reactions and feedback along the way from Showtime to what you were bringing them? And he answers, well, in the beginning, I think obviously executives, they worry about how things are going to go, but I've got to say they were super good with me. I had complete freedom. So it was very good. David Nevins, Gary Levine, and Robin Gurney at Showtime ended up being big fans, and it was really happy times working with them. Awesome. So that says that he had a great time working with them. So there's no hard feelings there. Now I love this answer. He says, so they give him the question, did the Showtime executives ask you questions along the way? And he answers, everybody. They're human beings. So they've got questions like everybody else. And they love seeing clues and trying to figure things out. And they were into it all along. They were really into it, especially when it got all together with the sound and music mixed in. They were really were fans. And I love the fact that he says, of course they had questions. They're human beings. Like that's
not a human being, but they are.
No, I take it as like, that's a genuine answer from him.
No, yeah.
I mean, trust me, if you follow this guy and how he answers things, that actually, comes from the heart. And when Lynch is engaged and wants to answer people, this is a good thing, because he feels he's not great with words, but he is when he just relaxes. So
yeah, I agree.
All right. They asked just other. I'm not going to go through all the questions because you guys should all check out the article. But they ask him about watching TV in perfect conditions, and then they say, "I was surprised that you announced you were directing all the episodes. Were you always confident you could do that?" And he's like, "Absolutely."
That was a funny. I cracked up when I read that.
Well, it makes sense to me, right? Because his answer says, they ask, how did you parse out your time and your energy and your enthusiasm to make sure you were able to do it all? And Lynch says, well, once you sign up for it, you're just chained to it. There's no let up. If you're sick, you can't stay home. You just go. It's a runaway train, but it's a beautiful trip. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, okay. Twin Peaks is a massive achievement, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what else was a massive achievement? When Peter Jackson did The Lord of the Rings.
Hell yeah.
Okay. I think that trilogy is one of the greatest cinema miracles of all time. The fact that it just came out as well as it did. Now, The Hobbit's another story. Right?
I still haven't seen all those, to be honest.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. Because what Peter Jackson did was he took, one book that was separated into 3 big chapters and made a film out of each chapter. He didn't make 3 movies out of each chapter, right? Mm-hmm. So he didn't make 9 Lord of the Rings films. He made 3, and then he made 3 movies out of 1 little book, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, but what I'm saying though is, you think Peter Jackson like stopped and was like, "Oh man, I just want to quit," I mean, once you've accepted you're going to do Lord of the Rings, once you've accepted you're going to do Twin Peaks, you're going to do it.
Yeah, I think that if somebody feels that way, there's a way bigger problem at that point. If they feel like they want to quit on something like that.
Right. And let's be honest here. I mean, Twin Peaks has amazing scenes in it, just amazing. And there's so many actors and setups and you're going all over. I don't really think they globetrotted as much as they did. I mean, yeah, they did the Paris shot, but I don't think they were going from East Coast to West Coast all the time, But I will say this though. There were moments where they could pause for a while, like, being at the hotel in Buckhorn. They were able to slow down a little bit. So it wasn't all episode 8 woodsmen jumping everywhere, So, I mean, that would have given, Lynch a heart attack, I think, if the whole 18 hours had been like that.
I mean, yeah. I would have seen that at the MoMA or something. I don't know.
Right. So so it had really intense scenes where he had to be fully engaged. And then there could be other stuff of like Laura Dern just kicking out a bar looking at, phone texts. So, and that's the Lynch way is like, you can't have highs without lows.
No, that's why I love season 3. It felt organic.
Right.
Which is super important for me as a viewer.
Right. And that's the problem with a lot of movies today. They want to cut out all the lows. So it's just highs, high. And that may work for Goodfellas. That may work for Trainspotting. That doesn't work for every movie. I mean, every movie has to have its own pacing, right? And that's why, like, let me go back to Wild at Heart, for example. That first hour is just, in the words of Sailor Ripley, rocking good news. I mean, it's just, you're everywhere. He's in prison, he's out, they're escaping, they're traveling across the country. It's there's just power mads playing. They're in New Orleans. It is wild at heart. And then Lula gets pregnant. They run out of money and they get stuck in Big Tuna, and the pace slows. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's never boring. And I remember critics at the time were complaining like, well, it's so much fun that first hour and then it slows down. That's the point. When
I don't know why that's such a bad thing to some people. I don't get it.
Sailor Ripley, when Sailor Ripley says to Bobby Peru, we got $40 left. Yeah, you should feel like you're at the end of the rope. You should feel like, what is that's going to make Sailor Ripley risk his freedom, to rob that bank so that him and Lula can make it all the way to California. And they never make it. They never make it to California. Spoilers.
I'm streaming.
What are you streaming at the same time? Hello?
Sorry about that.
What happened?
We had a visitor.
Oh. You're just shooing all your female admirers out the door.
Goodbye. Yeah, sorry.
But anyway, I love the fact that Lynch plays around with pacing. Sometimes it's really fast, sometimes it's really slow. Like in Lost Highway, you have the speedy opening credits on the road, and then the movie just completely slows down.
That's why I love Lynch. I love that he could do both, and it feels organic, and it feels, I don't know, that's the way I like to watch a movie. Not everything is cut and go. Right.
All right. So, they ask what parts in particular felt like a runaway train, and he says it's every day. Picture it. When you get there in the morning, it's like there's a giant ravine, and as you're working during the day, you're building a glass bridge. It's a delicate bridge, and it's made of glass. And once you've got everything done for that day and it feels correct, boom, the glass turns to steel and you can cross over. And then you got to do it again the next day.
I love it.
And then they ask, then how does it feel when you finally have picture lock? Oh, don't you love it when reporters like throw out some Hollywood filmmaker lingo, like they know, how do you feel about picture lock? It's like, shut up. Why don't you say, how does it feel when you finish the film?
Picture lock.
Yeah, well, they got to act like they're, in the know. So Lynch says, well, you see, picture lock is one thing, but then there's sound. Thank you. And nothing's finished. All these things have got to come together for it to be really what you want. So it's really not done until that very last bit of color correction. And then they ask, are you the kind of person who would be able to just keep working and tweaking on this thing forever? And he's like, no. There's a point where you say, this is finished. Now, see, a lot of filmmakers will say that's not true. They'll say,
it's never finished.
It's never finished. It's just released. Well, that's honestly, in my opinion, those are filmmakers who don't know what they want. David Lynch is one of those filmmakers like Stanley Kubrick, who, even though, yes, there might be a release date, they're not going to release it until it is exactly the way they want it. And if it's not, on those rare cases it's not, they will never say that out loud. Never. You will never. I mean, Kubrick's dead, but and he didn't do very many interviews. But but these are filmmakers that don't come out and say, that was kind of a mistake to do that. They just let it speak for themselves. And that honestly, because once you give the audience that edge, they'll rip you to pieces. Right? For instance, case in point, this Justice League movie that's out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew about the reshoots. Everybody knew about Joss Whedon coming on, doing stuff. Everybody knows about the lip CGI thing with Henry Cavill. So guess what? You're going into the movie going, show me something. Let's see this lip. Let's see this and that. So you're going in with all these preconceived notions. So instead of watching the movie and either saying, I like it or I hated it, you're already going in like this. Right? I've never done that to a David Lynch movie, ever. Because he keeps his sets on lockdown. People are only permitted to say what he allows them to say. You know, and when you sit down, I mean, come on. Usually when season 3 started, usually by the first episode, the internet has already dropped articles about what the episode's like, what the tone is, whether, you know, there was not, they had to wait until see the episode to, like everybody else.
Yeah.
And that was great. So we had no clue when we sat down to watch episode 1. I still didn't know what the series was going to be about. I remember being there.
Yeah.
What was it? 6 o'clock West Coast time. I remember thinking, it's called Twin Peaks. I know Cooper's in it. I know Cheryl Lee's in it because I saw the TMZ footage. Of course, I didn't know it was the final scene I had seen.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I didn't know anything else about this series. I knew a cast list, which I saw like twice and then I forgot about it.
Some extremely vague promos.
Yeah, but like I said, I had no idea what it was going to be about. And so when it began, I was like, oh, I'm so happy. Because I was just like, I was so happy to be. I haven't
been that excited for TV in a long time.
Exactly. And it was incredible. And I just remember that seeing those first 4 episodes, which, by the way, I have to say, I'm super happy the Blu-ray is going to not give you the access to watch them as standalone episodes or as the 2-hour movies.
Yes. Okay, good.
Which I'm really happy about. I know they're doing it for 3 and 4 as well, which I never saw. Because I saw 1 and 2 is the connected movie on Showtime. And then I watched them off the streaming site 3 and 4 because they dropped.
Yeah, that's what I did.
But I guess the next week they played 3 and 4 together as one movie as well.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either, and because I'd already seen it, so I wasn't gonna, you know. I mean, yeah. I rewatched those episodes like 4 or 5 times in that week. I wasn't gonna rewatch them on Sunday as well.
Same here.
But I'm really happy about parts 1 and 2 together because 1, you know, I'm sure there'll be people saying no, but I really don't think they work as 2 standalone episodes. I think they were conceived to be a 2-hour premiere. I mean, in fact, that's how they showed it at the Cannes Film Festival that way. You know, Lynch didn't just take over episode 1 and be like, here we go. I mean, they showed 1 and 2 together. And also when the chromatics are playing, because they had to fit in the credits for part 1 as well, the credits begin, the end credits begin at a more confident place during the chromatic song than in the standalone version. Now, is it ruined in the standalone episode 2 version? No. But when you watch it as one collective, you know, 1 2-hour movie, it just, they hit the starring Kyle MacLachlan credit on the right musical note.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I absolutely agree. It felt very good. It felt like a very good punctuation.
Yes.
To that. It was so satisfying.
Right. So when you watch it as a standalone, it still works. But because I remembering where the starring Kyle MacLachlan credit happened in the 2-hour, I'm always like, oh, it's so sad they didn't, you know. But now I'll tell you this. I'll watch the other episodes standalones because that's how I watch them. I will never watch 1 and 2 as separate episodes ever. If I'm gonna watch the pilot or, you know, premiere episodes, it will always be the 2-hour movie because that's how we saw it.
I agree with you.
Have you seen the ending of episode 1 by itself?
Not without watching part 2 after that.
Right, but I mean, like, they end it right after they open up the trunk and they find that skin in the trunk, and then it just cuts to basically a like a photograph image of the phonograph, and you just hear the sounds.
Right, yeah. Oh wait, I think I might have watched it once like that.
And it, you know what though, it more than all the other episodes, because I think 1 and 2 were conceived to be, you know, one big thing. That's why I think that end credits, does it work? Sure. Does it look like it was tacked on because 1 and 2 were never supposed to be separated? Yes. You know,
I agree.
I mean, does it kill it? No. So I mean, if you had to only watch one and then watch two, it doesn't kill it.
But the
But
pacing is so good when you watch them together.
exactly, and that's why I'm. You know what? This is why I'm saying that they really thought this out. They're like, okay, you know what? For the people who like one and two separately, great. We're gonna do that. For you like it as a complete thing, we got that too. Because if they just released it as the 2 hour thing, while I would be happy, there'd be other people going, oh, but I really like that ending with the giant or the fireman and then the phonograph. There'd be those people saying, oh, you're keeping footage back from us. So guess what? Happy, happy, happy. Everybody's happy. So
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. All right. So then they say this season is such a great showcase for Kyle in so many ways. Did you know going in how much you wanted to show off his versatility? And he says, it's not a question of showing off. You get these ideas, and I knew Kyle could do it. But it's these characters. They got to be a certain way. And so you work together, all the different elements that make up each one of those characters. And then the actors have got to supply their talent and make it real from a deep place. And Kyle sure did that. And then they ask, how much did watching what he was doing steer how much we were seeing of certain characters? It seems like Dougie is the kind of character who could be really tough to watch if he weren't played so magically. How did you know that Kyle was giving you what you needed from that character? It's called directing the script.
He knew exactly what he wanted. That was a weird one. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We're talking with people that are you going through a time travel warp over there? What's going on?
God, somebody just roared past on a motorcycle.
This is James Hurley looking for the Black Lodge. So Lynch says, you see it before your eyes. You can fine-tune things or you can talk and adjust, but all the wrong thing can break the reality of the character. So you work and you talk and you rehearse and you talk some more. And then the actor Kyle, he locks in on these things and away we go. Listen, it really helps too that him and Kyle has like a shorthand. I mean, yeah, they haven't worked with each other in 25 years, but they did do Dune, Blue Velvet, and Twin Peaks back to back to back, so that works in their favor. Let's see here. Then they talk about, working with Miguel Ferrer and Catherine Nicholson and Warren Frost. And, he just says, I just love working with Miguel. I love working with everybody. It's just terrible thing to lose people. And they say, does that put a different weight on you when you're in the editing room and you want to make sure you honor these people? And he says, you just look and say, there's Miguel alive and well and doing his thing. And you know that he's not here anymore, but in a way it's finishing things up the way you would with any scene, any character. But you have that in the back of your mind and you just wish that wasn't so. So that is Lynch saying, listen, I'm going to do everything I can to honor these people. But if it didn't work, I'd still cut them out. And that, honestly, is a true filmmaker.
No, I agree. And they probably would have wanted it that way. So
right.
He knew those people. He knew how, like, what kind of people they were, what kind of artists they were.
Exactly. So you gotta do what's right.
I like that answer.
Yeah. So then they're talking about the cast, and they go, was someone like Kyle, who had worked with you so many times, was he almost like a team captain, making sure that everybody was on the same stage and doing the same things? Okay, first of all, did these people watch the show? Because let me just break it down here. Kyle is the main character in the show, but Kyle did not do scenes with everybody in the show. He was kind of locked into certain, he's in Rancho Rosa for most of it.
Mm-hmm.
So how can he be a team captain for, like, over here in the Las Vegas scenes? You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't around these people. So Lynch kind of like breaks it down here by saying, no, I'm the team captain.
I love that.
Well, of course, he's directing. He's there for every scene. And let's be honest here, as much as Kyle gave just a tour de force performance, many performances in this series, David Lynch actually had the lead role of this entire series.
He's
the only character through the entire thing that keeps propelling things forward. Because Dougie is stuck for 12 episodes, right? Gordon is the only one pushing the plot.
I mean, the blue scene with him and Albert, that's like, it solidifies that thought.
And I remember, asking Sabrina about that. I think on our countdown to the finale thing, I said, what was it like when you got the script and you realized that Lynch had written himself the lead role? Because it really is.
No,
I mean,
I agree.
it may say starring Kyle MacLachlan, and he is the lead guy, but in terms of the story of season 3, it's all Gordon Cole and Albert.
I mean, it's Kyle MacLachlan, but the whole thing is to get Cooper going, like to figure out Cooper.
And what is the thing that makes Cooper stick the fork in the outlet? Him hearing Gordon Cole, right?
Watching Sunset Boulevard. Yeah.
Right. But here's the thing that Lynch says that I love, where he says, Kyle was there a lot, and he was happier than I'd ever seen him. He was just so happy being these different characters, and it was kind of euphoric. Yeah, you know what? Listen, this is not the Kyle from Fire Walk With Me going, I just did the Doors, I'm hot shit, I'm not doing any of this anymore. This is Kyle who went through 25 years of, a lot of ups and downs in Hollywood, and he's played a lot of great things. He's been in a lot of great shows. I think he did great on Sex and the City, Desperate Housewives, Portlandia. But he has not played characters like Agent Cooper since Twin Peaks. He's been that put upon doofus, husband, idiot, that is just, even look at Showgirls. I mean, like, even though I think he's a blast in Showgirls, when I interviewed Michael Horse, I said, this is before the show even came back, this is when they just found out that it was coming back. Okay. I said to Michael Horse, I said, isn't this going to be exciting? Kyle MacLachlan's going to get to be a man again. And he howled about that. He was just like, yeah, he has just been playing just like, these characters that, look, was he a great actor in those roles? Yes. Was it very hard for me? And listen, and if you're an actor, you can do all types of things, but he got kind of typecast and pigeonholed as this like doofus for a long time.
I mean,
and that's not the Agent Cooper that I grew up with. That's not the Jeffrey Beaumont that I grew up with. That's not the Paul Atreides I grew up with. That's not Ray Manzarek that I grew up with. Kyle MacLachlan was the man in so many things. And then he became a joke, even though he is a fantastic actor. Do you know what I'm saying though? He just wasn't playing characters that you could respect.
I mean, from when I got to an age where I recognized Kyle, which I think the first thing I saw him in was the Flintstones, probably. And then later on, How I Met Your Mother, when he played the captain on that, and then Portlandia and Desperate Housewives. I did watch that, but I was kind of young when that was out. So
and he is fantastic. And so if he ever sees this podcast, I don't want him to think that I'm blasting him, because listen, it
wasn't hit like a
no
on his ability or talent.
No, because the roles he was given, he was doing them correctly. He was, giving them his all. I really liked him in those roles. It was like watching somebody just being emasculated before your eyes for 25 years. And I'm just like, that is not Agent Cooper. And yes, he's not playing Agent Cooper in those things, but he wasn't given the opportunity to play those roles anymore. So here comes David Lynch and Mark Frost, and they're like, listen, we're going to do season 3 of Twin Peaks. Does he get to play Agent Cooper? A little bit. I mean, in the first episodes, and maybe
sort of the
end, I guess, which I don't have a problem with, actually. But when you look at, listen, I mean, obviously Dougie, I know Dougie drove people nuts, but if you look at just his performance as Dougie, he knocks it out of the park. But to me, it was all Mr. C.
Oh yeah,
because even though I've never seen Kyle act like Dougie before, Mr. C is going to get him roles that he never would have been offered before. Okay, you look at Dougie and you can say, "Oh, I can recognize that guy from Portlandia." It's a different thing, but it's still in the vein of comedy, right?
Yeah.
But Mr. C, dude, he was. I mean, he wasn't copying at all, but he was channeling Frank Booth. I mean, when he gets out of that car in the first episode with that long hair, and that guy comes out with the gun, he just bashes that guy and just walks up the stairs and, "Hey, Otis," just deadpan. I mean, I was like, this is the man, right? I mean, like, I know he's Bob. I know he's the doppelganger. I know he's evil incarnate. But listen, I had waited 25 years to see, like, Kyle MacLachlan man up again.
I'm 100% with you. I think, you know what? I think now is his time, though. His time again. I think he does it. He's a really good older, lead.
And if Twin Peaks does not win any Emmys or Golden Globes or whatever, I mean, it still might. I still think it might, but I think that the last 2 hours might throw some, viewers, and so maybe they won't go with it as like
part 17 at least.
No, 18. You mean?
I mean the whole Bob scene.
Well, okay. I'm just saying that, like, and they'll submit like an episode. They don't watch the whole series. Yeah. They just submit an episode. But I really do think Kyle is, still front runner for Best Actor in a Limited Series because he got to do it all.
I don't know who else.
I mean, he played, as far as we know, at least 4 characters.
Yeah.
We had Cooper, we had Mr. C, we had Dougie, and then we had the Cooper,
the real Doug, the taller Dougie.
No, we had the Cooper, Dirty Harry Richard one at the end.
Oh right, yes, okay.
So, and you know what? He was believable in every single incarnate of those characters.
I know it's so much so that when I talk about Kyle MacLachlan in The Return, he's Mr. C, but I'm like, okay, he's Agent Cooper, he's Dougie, and for a second, Mr. C falls away. That's a different person to me. And then I'm like, oh yeah, he's Mr. C. He's Mr. C.
Listen,
too, so.
I completely agree with you because when I would watch an episode, I know we all did this, every single one of us. We would see Mr. C in an episode. We would see Cooper. We would see sometimes Dougie in an episode. So we would at least get Mr. C and Dougie in an episode. Did you ever, while you were watching the episode, ever think to yourself, that's the same actor? Not when I was watching it. I mean, I knew it was Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah.
I'm not an idiot, but there was no trace of Dougie in Mr. C and no trace of Mr. C in Dougie. Okay, so many actors have one style of acting that you can kind of go, okay, yeah, they're playing a different character, but it's always Ben Affleck, right? Cooper is so different than Dougie and so different than Mr. C, and so different from what we got in part 18 with him blasting cowboys in a diner. Right. So I'm stupefied. And if anything, what Lynch and Frost did for Kyle MacLachlan is add so much badassness to his video resume, his acting reel.
Mr. C alone. That character alone, man.
Yeah. The one bad thing about the character is that while it's great that Lucy shoots him, right? Again, like episode 22 in the Black Lodge, it is a little anticlimactic. I mean, you kind of expect something big to happen.
Oh yeah, that scene bothers me still. I mean, I like it, but
it's so intense though. Before he's just laying on the ground, like when he's just smiling at the sheriff. Oh, I love that stuff. Like when he walks to Andy, that's great stuff. But it is a little anticlimactic. Does that make it a bad scene? No, but it kind of makes them like the Mr. C spends a lot of the time in the later episodes just driving around, much like Cooper and Carrie Page later. There's a lot of driving in this series. A lot of people going back and forth between states, and then Jerry, runs between states. So,
a lot.
Definitely, and even naked at one point. So, anyway, but yeah, that's the one bad thing I would say about is that he didn't get a proper, like, even Frank Booth in Blue Velvet is like sucking that, and go into the closet, and he has that moment of realization, like, when Jeffrey Beaumont just blows his head off.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted that moment of, like, the doppelganger realized he got played, and that didn't quite happen. I wanted him to think like he was his badass, and then nope, Lucy played him or something, but it was a surprise. It was a surprise for us. It was a surprise for him. So
I think what the actual scene might not be as anticlimactic, but the like what we get out of that scene, the fact that Bob was slim pickings compared to Judy probably is just a whole bigger thing.
Right. George in the chat says, I wouldn't say it's anticlimactic, but that's just me. It's not anticlimactic where it kills the scene, kills the character. I'm just saying, you're being built up to, like, this is ultimate,
like a confrontation
of evil here. And he just drops to the ground. So
he gets shot. Are you Freddy? And then we know what happens next.
Again, there's the Nightmare on Elm Street reference. Are you Freddy?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right. And what does he have? He has a glove, a power glove. All right, let's continue on here.
My destiny.
So then Lynch confirms what we've been saying on here for a long time. I had a thought of the day video where I was talking with Rob Gluzzo, who for a long time worked for Blumhouse, and now he actually is running the feature film distribution angle for Dread Central. They're getting into movies and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, Rob was on this podcast, and he told me that, hey, those Roadhouse scenes, they were all filmed in one day, and they just had the bands just rotate out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, really? That's crazy. I mean, I figured it was all kind of done at one point, but one day, that's pretty wild. Well, Lynch here confirms in the interview it was just that. So thank you, Rob, for letting us know about that, like 5 months ago.
He says they have 3 cameras rolling at a time when they did those scenes.
Right. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Because a couple of the bands got 2 songs, and they were wearing the same clothes.
Mm-hmm. Chromatics.
and what's it? The Au revoir Simone,
Oh yeah.
Au revoir Simone. There you go. See, I can't ever pronounce it. And I wish, this is just me, but I wish if there was a possibility of, because I don't even think Lynch planned on having 2 of those 2 people's songs. I think they just played maybe like a set, and then he was like, oh, we'll use that song because that works better for this episode. But I wish if they were doing a set, I know this would have added time, but I wish they had changed clothes in between every song if they were going to do it, just so that, because
that would have been nice,
because it did kind of mess with our time. Because we're like, okay, wait a minute, where are we in time? Because it kept confusing us in terms of timelines. Because a lot of people thought, well, maybe we're going back to just the same night of the Roadhouse over and over and over again. It's like, no, just Lynch liked that music and just stuck it on the end of the episode. And it's great. I mean, the music's great, but I just wish that they had different clothes on if they were going to do multiple performances. That's all.
I agree.
So, all right. Let's see. Then they ask, when did you know how you wanted to end these 18 episodes? And Lynch, of course, is being silly here, saying when the script was done. And then they said,
well, filmed everything they wanted to.
Yeah. And they go, but it wasn't one of those things where you said, okay, we're aiming to this line of dialogue. We're aiming at this point. And Lynch goes, no, you build it. It's like, I don't know exactly. You say the script is musical notes, pages and pages and pages of orchestrations, and you're building it. But you can see the notes, how they're supposed to go, where it goes soft and quiet, and where it builds, and where it goes here and there, transitions. It's just all there in the music. You just have to translate it to cinema. I don't know about you, Joey, but that makes perfect sense.
To me, it does.
When just like we were talking about pacing, the up and down.
Mm-hmm.
But also go back to that episode 1 of Twin Peaks and watch that opening from the replay of season 2, episode 22. The hello, Agent Cooper with Laura, right? You hear the wind. Then she says, see you again in 25 years. She does that. It holds perfectly, fades out perfectly. Then you hear, the music a little bit, and then fades up. You see a little bit of mist. We come over the woods, and then we see the sawmill, and and then we see the girl running from the school when they announced Laura was dead, and then the camera moves in, and you hear the music, you hear this kind of rumbling, and then the music fades, the rumbling fades, and then it's like one beat, boom, the Twin Peaks music kicks in. Like, and it's so
that sweeping.
It's so perfectly placed. And that's what I loved about it, because I watched that over again, and not so much for, I love the images, don't get me wrong. I mean, the replays of the, most of my replays from the original series. I just love that sound work, and where it just slows.
Big Dean Hurley.
Yes, but listen, I know he's a genius, and I'm not taking away anything from him. But, Lynch had other people do sound work with him, for, Alan Split through, Eraserhead, Elephant Man. I think he did it, Grandmother too, and definitely Blue Velvet, right? Alan Split was a sound genius, and all Lynch did was kind of carry it over and bring in other people to kind of mold in that way. So yeah, listen. Just listen to that soundtrack in Eraserhead. You can't even believe that,
I love the Eraserhead
that two guys in an office made those sounds. Because it sounds like they just walked around Philadelphia and abandoned warehouses and factory buildings and just were recorded everything. No, just Lynch and Alan Split doing sound work.
I love watching him do sound work. I think I forgot which documentary it is where he's just filming him reversing a phonograph, and he's just recording it, and it's just like a moment. I was like, oh, that's pretty, and that's where he gets that whooshing kind of sound.
It's amazing, but it's not like just one or two sounds. He builds them. When he talks about building them, there's probably, I'm not kidding you, there's probably 20, 30 tracks on some of this just sound work.
The electricity sounds definitely are layered like crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's incredibly impressive. And people always talk about, the acting in his films and the pictures, but just, just turn off the picture and listen to just how perfect the sound is. And when he chooses to bring in music, what music he chooses to bring in. I remember in Wild at Heart, there's a scene where Marietta's talking to Johnny Farragut, the late Harry Dean Stanton, and she's crawling on the ground. She refers to it as the kitty cat scene. But the moment she goes to the ground, she comes up and does that, kind of growl, cat thing she does to him. Badalamenti's music kicks in, and it's very Twin Peaks. And I remember a friend of mine named Lewis, and he, we were only 14 at the time, and he leaned over to me at the theaters. This was like the fourth time I'd seen it in the theater. And he leaned over to me and he goes, Lynch is so perfect of how he brings in the music. This is a 14-year-old watching this movie and just realized that what he was watching was cinematic genius.
It's so punctual. Like let's say you watch the Twin Peaks with the sound off. You get, maybe your heart starts pumping a little bit. You feel kind of good. But then with the music, especially with the first episode of season 3, I was fine. And then you had that weird, echoey, reverberated screaming of the girl. And then you have that sort of metallic whirring. And then you have the theme music play. I got chills everywhere. And it does something to your brain that's really special, I think.
Listen, when people tell me that season 3 was just, hogwash and terrible, and there was, it was just Lynch trolling everybody. Listen, you are totally free to believe that, right? Yeah. And I understand maybe where you're coming from in some parts. However, I don't think you can say that it was just a terrible season, because even if you didn't like where the story went, there's too many good things in it. We're talking about the sound work. We're talking about Miguel Ferrer's performance. We're talking about, Lynch, honestly, I mean, yes, he gave himself the lead role, but he was up to that challenge. I mean, his Gordon Cole. Listen, I love Gordon Cole in the original series. His Gordon Cole in this series was like his sound work, layered, multi-dimensional.
I'm totally 100% with you
And
there.
I honestly was shocked. And I know I've said a lot, but like I've always liked him as an actor. Like if you see Zelly and Me, the movie he did with Isabella Rossellini, he's the romantic lead in that movie.
I haven't seen that one yet.
And while it's great seeing him, it's also I mean he's a little wooden, but that's also the part. But still, it's still a little wooden. You kind of go, oh, it's David Lynch playing this mild mannered butler. It's very much Remains of the Day, early days. But when you see him in that blue scene, let's for instance with Miguel Ferrer, that's a real performance.
No, yeah, I was so impressed. I mean, that's we see Gordon Cole in the original, but it feels like it kind of does feel like David Lynch playing a character. And now in that scene was like David Lynch is Gordon Cole, and Gordon Cole is David. Like it
did feel like David Lynch was playing Gordon Cole, but he never winked in the original series, like, I'm David Lynch and playing Gordon Cole. I mean, it was definitely a meta thing, but it was a meta thing that worked and it called attention to itself only if you were in the know.
Yeah,
right.
This is true.
But yeah, when you watch this new series, it's like, well, it's great to have him back, and then you go, oh my god, like oh my, he took acting lessons. I mean, it's like, no, I'm not kidding you. Like, I know we talk about Lynch like a god around here, but sometimes we tear him down too. But I think that as an actor in this series, listen, I honestly would nominate him as like supporting actor at the Emmys. I thought he was that good.
I mean, you show anybody that blue scene that respects film. I don't think you have to be a big a Twin Peaks fan to understand what happened there.
No, yeah,
I don't think,
and it's so subtle. That's
what's so great about it.
that is what's so great about it. And so, and when I say we talk about like a god and we tear him down, I'm so talking playfully here. I mean, listen, he's done so many wonderful things. He has had some screw ups, but I love just celebrating like his pacing, the fast and the slow. I love celebrating the good and what the
it's kind of like that thing, like only I can make fun of my sibling, you can't, but I can because they're my. It's kind of like that kind of deal,
right? It's very much that the
from a loving place.
It's the Bundy family way, right?
Yeah,
Al Bundy and Peggy, Bud and Kelly, man, they were so vicious to each other in Married with Children. But the moment someone outside was like, "Hey, it's the Bundys," Al Bundy would just kick their ass.
That theme song was stuck in my head the other day. It was driving me nuts.
All right. So, basically they're saying like, have you started thinking in terms of long form storytelling more often in your mind? And Lynch says, yes, thrilling to me, continuing story. It's absolutely thrilling. He's been saying that since 1990. So, and that's pretty much the interview. I mean,
I've heard that a lot from him.
Oh, that was all he could talk about during Twin Peaks season 1, a continuing story. And it's called the soap opera, David.
Yeah. Now's the time to do it. Come on, let's get season 4 rolling.
It's called the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
What? I didn't. Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, there's not a lot of Twin Peaks news right now. So, we're just kind of talking about what we can, but it is funny that the day before Thanksgiving, they kind of dropped this thing saying never say never. And I've been saying for a while, by Thanksgiving, we're going to know something. Either they're going to do something or they're not going to do something. So yes, that's true. We still don't know what they're doing, but I still think that the ball is still in the favorable court.
I think so too. I think they're saying don't, it's still in the air. So don't say no, never say never.
Right. And so while they're not confirming anything, they're making a real point to come out and say, Well, we're not confirming it either.
It's a waiting game at this point. It's not a matter of if, it's when.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will be like, no, season 3 is where it ends. It's not. Okay.
It could be, but it's not.
No, I mean, even if it is, it's not going to be the end. Twin Peaks you think that's the last time we're going to see Twin Peaks in our lifetime? No. And I'm not talking about if Lynch and Frost are just like, man, I'm done with it. 30 years from now, someone's going to be like, I'm bringing it back. It's going to happen.
McLaughlin brings it back.
It's going to happen no matter what. So I think they should do some standalone things. I think they should do maybe a 6 to 8 episode arc on, a series. Don't do an 18. They're never going to do an 18 again.
I think now people probably said this back then, but I think now is the perfect time. You have Mark Frost with his ear to the ground, and I think David Lynch is in a very good time in his career. I don't know. I think now is the perfect time.
Well, George says Mark Frost said in an interview that he's doing a play at the moment.
Hey, George.
And let's look. SPF 50 says just do season 4.
Yes.
George says no reboots or remake. Honestly, I gotta tell you, I probably said this on podcasts as well, but I was so nervous. I was so nervous when season 3 began because I was scared to death. I was like, please don't do it. Please don't do it. And they didn't do it. So I was so happy about that. I was scared to death that the movie or whatever the series was going to begin with just beginning with another body wrapped in plastic, just rolling up on the beach.
Oh.
Because that's how they began Fire Walk with Me with Teresa Banks, floating down the river.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh God, here we go. They're gonna do it, aren't they? Because it is the doppelganger / Bob out there, so it would be conceivable that would be the modus operandi of what he's doing. So that didn't happen. I remember hearing rumors for a long time that the kid getting run over was the opening of the show, which wasn't the case, but they said that was going to propel a mystery. Well, that didn't happen.
Everybody knew who that was for sure.
Well, the moment they saw a little kid running with his mom in the park, every Twin Peaks fanatic that's been on message boards for a year and a half was like, I know what's coming.
Yeah, I felt it. I felt it in my chest. I was like, oh God, no, there's a happy moment here.
But you know what, though? Because we kind of knew what was going to happen, it was like, it's funny. I want to talk to someone who didn't know what was going to happen and see if they felt the same way. Because since I knew it was coming, those scenes, or that moment in the park, I was like, it didn't feel like foreshadowing. It felt like Lynch was like tilting his hand a little too much. Like, here's this random person and their kid, just playing in the park with Harry Dean Stanton sitting on a bench. I don't know. You know what I mean? It seemed a little like we're being set up for something bad here, and then we get it, and then we never hear about it again. So
I thought there was going to be payoff a little bit further down the road with that in some way, some kind of quantum entanglement kind of way where, it happened for a reason. But I guess it did. Thinking about it now.
It did what?
I mean, because it's set everybody in place to get rid of Bob. That little boy getting hit, kind of, if he hadn't hit that little boy, he would have never been found out, pretty much, which led people down the path to him dying with Mr. C.
I just wish there was something a little bit more to it, because we did get Harry Dean Stanton seeing the spirit / I don't know, looked like spirit mixed with Garmin Bosia floating in the air, in my opinion. But I just wish there was maybe because the scene is it is a standalone scene. You could take that scene out of the show and the plot would go on. I mean, listen, Richard Horn has a ton of felonies under his name. The sheriff doesn't have to visit Ben Horn just because he ran over a kid. He could be like, I'm visiting you because he, sexually assaulted a woman at the Roadhouse the other night. So, yeah,
I almost forgot about that.
Right, because scenes kind of came and went.
Yeah.
And then there was no mention of those characters ever again. So, you know, again, that's not a complaint. I'm just saying that's
We're allowed to bad talk it because
no, but it's not a complaint. That's just a fact.
well, yeah.
Characters and scenes came and went.
And I guess that probably was the point.
No, that was the point. Because they designed the series so that nobody knew what was going to happen in the scene after or the scene before, and they would show up on the day, do their scene, and go home. So if they went on social media and opened their mouths, they couldn't ruin anything. But by doing that, by keeping everybody so separate that way, which was a conscious choice,
Oh yeah.
that's why there's so little connectivity in it. Now, I think that they used it to the best of their ability, and they really made some interesting points about nostalgia and timelines and things like that. I think they really did a great job. But if they ever do come back and they do another standalone or season 4, I want to see connectivity again.
I agree. I think it warranted itself in part 3, but it's time to get back to some kind of track.
Right. And James said, who used to co-host with me on these podcasts, like on his podcast, the Coffee Time, he said the other day, and I actually really agree with him on this. He said, there wasn't, coffee and cherry pie, a lot of jokes like that in this series. I mean, yes, there was the Cooper at the restaurant with the cherry pie, but for the most part, there wasn't. And the one character who did express love of cherry pie was then beaten to death within an inch of her life by Richard Horn. And the last thing we see is her in the hospital. And he says, that pretty much sums up season 3 for me. The one character who goes like cherry pie, and then they beat her to death. Yeah, I mean, she's alive at the end, but wasn't it weird? Like, I mean, listen, I know there was Twin Peaks parties and everyone, that's fantastic. People let them do that kind of thing. That's one thing to do that for season 1 and 2. But when I saw people like in the last 3 episodes of Twin Peaks, like I see pictures of their Twin Peaks parties, we're doing pies and we're dressing up like the characters. I'm like, what series are you watching? We're not even near that anymore. Season 3 is so not cosplay and cherry pie.
No, it's not. You know what I did? I drank Kyle MacLachlan's wine before the episode started. That's right. What I did.
Now, George here says, I enjoyed the disconnect of the characters and made sense from everything from the season 2 finale and Fire Walk With Me. No, like I said, I think I agree with Joey. I think it worked in season 3 for what they were wanting to do. But now that they've done it, we can't do that again.
It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. We're back.
Well, not only that,
another 25 years, but I hope not.
But season 1, listen, I know season 1 and 2, follow this, the story, but season 1 is its own thing, right? Season 2 definitely kicks it up a notch in terms of the horror, the supernatural horror, and also the comedy becomes much more like jokey, right? So like season 1 is like a real like perfect balance. Season 2 really ups it this way in the horror and takes the comedy down to like Three Stooges level at times. Fire Walk With Me is a completely different animal altogether, right? It's very heavy. It's very heavy drama for the most part. And then season 3 is its own thing. So season 4 cannot be like season 3. It has to be another thing altogether. Doesn't mean it has to be folksy like season 1, but it can't be season 3 again.
It won't work. I just don't think it'll work. Like
because the audience is onto it now.
Yeah, that's the thing. We know what you're doing. We know what you're doing. We want something different, but don't play with us.
Exactly. So they're saying in the chat that if it's not Lynch and Frost doing Twin Peaks, it's not Twin Peaks. I would agree for the most part. Like if I found out just some newbie or I don't know, just some random person was going to take over Twin Peaks and do like season 4, I would be a little appalled.
Somebody needed to have been there before or have been there already.
And that's why I really hope that if they do a standalone thing for Showtime, like I was saying, my hope for it would be Mark Frost gets to direct a 2-hour like standalone thing. And then if they were going to do another one, let Leslie Linka Glatter do it, because she is the Showtime darling with Homeland, and she directed on season 1 and season 2 of Twin Peaks.
She's been there.
So give her a standalone thing. Let Lynch do a new original standalone Showtime thing, and then after we get those 3, then come back and do a 6-episode arc for season 4. And great.
I mean, I'd be happy. Honestly, I'd be happy with anything. That'd be awesome, though.
Right. So anyway, on that note, though, talking about other people doing Twin Peaks, let me play hypocrite here. When it comes to me, so anyway, but again, though, I agree with people in the chat saying, hey, if you're doing, fan film and that type of thing, that's a whole different thing. It's not like Showtime, is calling me up saying, hey, you want to do season 4?
I'm seeing the chat too. George is saying Jennifer Lynch takes over. If it's a Cheryl Lee led show, I think I'd be up for that.
Well, and let's be honest here, Jennifer Lynch, I've always liked her, and I've always liked her as a filmmaker, but her credits are getting huge now in the world of television. In fact, when they announced season 3 of Twin Peaks, a lot of people assumed that Jennifer Lynch was going to direct an episode or 2, because this is before Lynch had decided to direct them all. So that was a possibility, but she's been cutting her teeth on so many episodes of so many different shows, and you know what? A lot of people, and I'm not talking about just Lynch enthusiasts here, a lot of people are saying that her episodes are some of those seasons' best episodes.
I just saw something she directed, but I can't remember what it was. I thought it was excellent, though. I have to remember what it was.
She's I always liked her as a filmmaker, but she is now, when she's ready to do another feature or she's ready to like lead a show, because that honestly is one of her dreams. In my interview with her, she told me that one of her dreams is to show run a program.
Oh my God.
And yeah, and what is she doing? She's getting in so good with these TV shows and these networks that one of these days she's going to make a pitch to FX, A&E, and they're going to listen, and we're going to get a Jennifer Lynch executive producer show. It's going to happen.
I'm excited.
It's only a matter of time.
Do it, Jennifer. Come on, let's make it happen, Captain.
But yeah,
David Lynch is the captain.
George says yes. David Lynch, Jennifer Lynch, Mark Frost, Tim Hunter, Leslie Linka Glatter would be a great mix. Oh yeah, let's
Twin Peaks dream team.
Yeah, right, exactly. Bring back Tim Hunter. He's fantastic. And I mean, if you've never seen his movie River's Edge, please seek it out. It's incredible. Did you see it?
River's Edge? No,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Write that down and see it. It's fantastic.
It's still on the list that you gave me, that one stream we did.
But at least you watched The Straight Story.
Yes, I did.
So that's a plus. Now, was I right about The Straight Story?
I love The Straight Story. It was weird to see a Lynch sort of directing style with sort of a Disney. It wasn't Disney, like cartoony Disney.
It is not David Lynch directs Air Bud.
Yeah, it was, but there was like a Disney sensibility to it, like an air of Disney, especially like 90s, early 2000s Disney. I don't know what to there was some I don't know what it was, but it felt very interesting. And the scene where they're talking about he's in the bar with, I forget his name, and they're talking about the sniper that they had, and he shot him by accident, and that whole scene got me. That scene killed me. But
the Badalamenti score just pulls at your heartstrings.
I'm probably gonna watch it again soon, to be honest.
I have a friend that's like huge into David Lynch, right? Just loves everything he does. And he'll say to me, he goes, every time I watch The Straight Story, every time I watch it, I think to myself, is this Lynch's best movie? And it's like, I don't know. But I love filmmakers that when you watch one of their movies, where you actually stop and think to yourself, am I watching their best movie? And I can do that with several of Lynch's movies, and I love that. Straight Story, if you guys have not seen the Straight Story, find it. It is available on HD on streaming. And for a while it was on the Showtime app, but I don't think it's there anymore. But it is an incredible film. Don't let the Disney G-rated thing happen. It's very much a it's very much a David Lynch movie. Yeah, it's not surreal and weird and dreamy, but it's so poetic. And it's actually like the closest probably to who Lynch is as a human being.
I felt that, yeah.
Right? Those scenes in the town where Alvin Strait was living, you know, with his daughter. When you watch the David Lynch The Art Life movie, that's his childhood. I mean, even though, yeah, it's a real guy and it's a real situation, you can feel that Lynch infused it with the memories that he had as a child living in areas like that.
Yeah, I got that.
And that's why I think The Straight Story is such an incredibly personal work. And again, just bringing it up again, when I interviewed Jennifer Lynch, I actually brought that up to her, you know, and said, this is what I feel. And much to, the Lynch way is to never, agree or disagree. She did say, she's like, your assumptions are correct.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it's just, that movie just reeks of needing to be forgiven and sad about the past. And yes, it's about a real guy, but you could tell that this was like something that was weighing on Lynch's mind.
Some remorse, yeah.
And the fact that he's working again with Jack Fisk, who of course was his best friend, married to Sissy Spacek. They worked on Eraserhead. He hadn't worked with Jack in a long time. So he's back working with Jack. Then he's working with the cinematographer, Freddie Francis, who he worked with on Elephant Man and Dune. And, he was like pushing 70 or 80 or something when he was like doing the cinematography for that movie. So it's Lynch surrounding himself with all his old friends, and almost like by telling the story of an elderly man riding on a lawnmower going across numerous states, it's almost like he used that movie to bond and bridge old wounds with old friends.
And I think that's where Lynch wins time and time again. There's just this organic feeling, even when it's like surreal, there's just this organic thing that is unmatched, at least that I've seen in other work. It's just like this pure emotion that I don't know. Am I sounding too pretentious or something?
No, not at all. No, and in fact, even the poster, I think, says something like, they say it's a haunting film, the sweetest, most compassionate movie Lynch has ever made. And which I don't know about that, because the Elephant Man is pretty compassionate.
Oh yeah, Elephant Man got me.
But I do agree when people say The Straight Story is a very simple story. I mean, it's the straight story. It's the Alvin Strait, but it's literally like a very simple story. And yet it's so simple that you cannot believe how complex the emotions are in that movie. And he wasn't nominated for Best Director for that movie, but he should have been.
It's an important movie, I think.
Yeah, it is. And while, Lost Highway and Blue Velvet and all these movies are super important and great to his career, you got to look at movies like The Elephant Man. You got to look at The Straight Story. You look at movies that Lynch is doing that's away from his, surreal mystery movies, and see that he could do whatever he wanted to do if he wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
He just chooses not to, and that's fine. That's fine. But when he decides to do something else and follow his heart, he can still knock it out of the park.
I saw that. I obviously saw Elephant Man before Straight Story, but I would have loved to see a conversation with him, Mel Brooks, and John Hurt. I just want to be a fly on the wall for a conversation with those three guys.
I have an interview with Lynch that I had on the internet for a long time, but it got ripped down for obvious reasons. But it's an interview he did about The Elephant Man, and it's fantastic. And he talks about how Mel Brooks saved his life, because he said that if it wasn't for Mel Brooks, I would have just existed in surreal obscurity. Which is true.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody else would have hired the director of Eraserhead to do anything but like blood-sucking freaks or something like that. I mean, Lynch would have been they would have hired him to do some cheapy Roger Corman, horror sci-fi films.
We would have never gotten Twin Peaks for sure.
Maybe not for a long time.
Yeah, no.
But I mean, it's just the way it works. But yeah, I love talking about David Lynch and his works. And even though this is a Twin Peaks podcast, every once in a while it's nice to talk about other films of his. But anyway, yeah, while I would be myself completely appalled that if just some like random showrunner from FX decided, not Jennifer Lynch, but just some random showrunner was like, I'm gonna do Twin Peaks and I'm gonna do this, and I'd be like, oh my god, oh no, don't do this to me. Because I would talk with James for a while on these podcasts years ago about how, the reboot of Twin Peaks is coming. This is before it was ever announced we were coming back for season 3. I'd be like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Look at they're bringing back Dallas, they're bringing back Dynasty, they're bringing back 90210.
Y50.
Yeah, trust me, Twin Peaks is coming up. And I used to joke about it and say, yeah, what's going to happen is you're going to have this new hip, cool opening credits, and you're going to have like babes under the falls and things like that, and it's just going to be this new mystery of the young generation of Twin Peaks. And there's going to be a new mystery, and maybe they'll bring in like, Bobby Briggs, or they'll just have like one or two characters from the old show to kind of keep continuity. But that's basically what it is. And I was like, that's what it's going to be. And so when they announced it and it wasn't that, I was like, thank God. But I honestly thought that, I mean, and again, because Lynch and Frost are, they're not, complete sellouts. So, but I really did think like, they're going to be starving for money. They're not going to agree to ever do this again. So we'll be on as executive producers, but we'll just farm it out to the CW network and let them do it. And I was like, oh God, don't let that happen. Thank God they didn't.
CW decided to go with Riverdale instead.
True. And for whatever reason, Lynch put a Riverdale reference in Twin Peaks in part 8.
Did he?
Yeah. He named the diner after the diner in Riverdale.
Oh.
Yeah. In that 50s flashback. So bizarre. Anyway, but yeah, I thought that's where we're going. And if that ever happens, seriously, I will live stream myself diving off the Sailor's Lodge into the falls, because that'll be it.
With the theme song playing in reverse over loudspeaker.
Let's see here. George says, even if they did a reboot, it wouldn't hurt the original series or the return. Maybe, maybe not. And the scary thing is, as much as I say I would throw myself off the falls, I'd probably still watch the first episode.
Oh yeah.
Just to see what they would do. Just to see what they would do. But honestly, as a Twin Peaks fan and fanatic, I would be shaking to the core if I found out that this was happening. But I was sure that it was going to happen. Luckily it didn't happen, and luckily Showtime said, Lynch, you can do whatever you wanted to.
Yet.
No, that's why I keep saying,
once we're dead and gone, it might still happen.
No, because Lynch says never say never. Yeah, and he may be saying that in terms of season 4 and him directing it. But I'm saying never say never. When people say, "Oh, Twin Peaks is the end," I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. I don't know what the form is going to be, but no, it's not over. First of all, they branched out season 3 so huge that for them to world build that big and then do nothing afterwards, I find that hard to believe.
Twin Peaks, New York, Twin Peaks, Buckhorn, Twin Peaks, Vegas, Twin Peaks, Paris.
If they made a TV show, if Lynch and Frost did a TV show called Buckhorn PI, I'm all over it. Right? Because
Hill Street Blues and Twin Peaks.
It was called Cop Rock. You know about Cop Rock?
I don't know about Cop Rock.
That was a show that came out the same year as Twin Peaks, 1990, the fall of 1990. It was a TV show, a cop drama that would break into musical numbers between the cops and the robbers during like street riots. No, I'm serious. There's an Alan Thicke special that you can see on it's on YouTube, but I have a videotape back in the day. in which they were hyping up Twin Peaks and Cop Rock. Stephen Bacco's show, Cop Rock. And yeah, that's what they were saying. Like, this fall, ABC's got Twin Peaks and Cop Rock. And it's like, oh my Lord. Now, believe it or not, before the Alan Thicke special happened, what ABC was going to do, I wish they had done this. Maybe they did, and they just decided not to air it. They re-aired season 1 over the summer after it played in the springtime. They re-aired it over the summer, just in time for the fall, because we didn't have DVR and streaming and all that back then. However, what they were going to do, and I wish maybe someone could ask this because I would love to know if they ever did it. They were going to, for one of the Sunday night movies, they were going, instead of doing the Alan Thicke special, they were going to cut together a 2-hour version of season 1 and air it.
Oh, that would have been
and it would have been none of the subplots. It just would have been the Agent Cooper mystery stuff, I'm sure. But I would have loved to have seen that. I know there's like these fan cuts of like people that have done the streaming down of it, you know, and but I would love to have seen ABC's version of that.
An official cut.
But they never did it. So what they did instead, they aired a half-hour special with Alan Thicke talking about Twin Peaks and Cop Rock. Now, the Twin Peaks section is really good. I mean,
really?
It's a little cheesy. I mean, they're doing all these diagrams of who's connected to who and that type of thing. But the interviews with Lynch and Frost are great. Then they interview Peggy Lipton and Kyle MacLachlan, and that's great stuff. And Michael Onken's in there as well. But the best part, and this is why it got people talking about it for years, the best part is the ending of the show is Alan Thicke opening Jennifer Lynch's diary. Because he talks about they're going to find Laura's diary in this new season. They kind of tipped their hand with that. And we hear Cheryl Lee reading from the diary as narration. And that's
Wait, is this online?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Oh my God, I'm going to watch this.
Right. And it's super cheesy, but it's also really cool because that was the first time we heard Cheryl Lee reading from the diary.
Oh my God.
And she's talking about how Bob needs to be stopped and how, you know, no one can go on until Bob is you know, destroyed. And I was thinking, oh my God, that's brilliant. And they never used it in the shows. And it wasn't part of the show. But that's for years why people would say, oh, Cheryl Lee, you need to do an audio version of Jennifer Lynch's book. And that's where that came from.
What? I didn't know about this.
It's on YouTube. I think the whole show's on YouTube. Alan Thicke, just type in Alan Thicke, Twin Peaks, Cop Rock. It'll show up.
I'm watching this ASAP. I'm sure a bunch of people in the chat probably are excited to look that up.
Oh, I'm sure if you're a Twin Peaks fanatic, you've already seen it. But I have the original broadcast still on video. It's hilarious.
R.I.P. Alan Thicke.
Yeah, it's true, huh? It's kind of a bummer. I used to watch him on Growing Pains all the time.
I love that show.
But anyway, so that being said, because I want to wrap this up because I know you're going to be doing another video tonight, probably.
Yes.
So after we're done here, make sure to go to Joey's channel. He's going to do another Twin Peaks video with his co-host Danielle.
Yes.
So you're just going to be talking Twin Peaks all night long here.
It's going to be like sort of a season 4 wish list kind of thing. If we were to get one, what would we want to see?
I think I say this tongue in cheek, but I think they need to give us what they wanted to probably give us in part 18, but they were too shy. They were too gun shy to do it. And that is, instead of Cooper and Diane, Cooper should have just led Laura out of the woods into a motel and just had sex with her. Now that would have blown my mind.
It's actually a really warped romantic comedy. Laura is the one. She's the one for Cooper.
And, you know, it would have been really cool as if in the middle of their sex act, she opened her mouth and a bug crawled out. And, you know, now that's some David Cronenberg stuff right there. But I mean, listen, I'm telling you, when I watch part 18, sometimes there's a part of me that goes, I wonder what people would have reacted to if this had been him and Laura doing this.
I really feel like it should have been Laura. It would have made so much more sense. Like it would have, I don't know, solidified something.
Right. George says that he wishes I could digitize my recorded VHS of Twin Peaks. I agree. You know, for years I had a Blu-ray recorder that I could hook up my VHS to, and I could record stuff. And I stupidly Never did that with my Twin Peaks. I would copy things for people all the time, but I just assumed there was always going to be Blu-ray recorders, not Blu-ray, DVD recorders. So I never got around to it. Now they're impossible to find, and they're like $400, $500 now. And it's funny because now everybody's going streaming and that type of thing. They don't really offer that kind of thing anymore. And I know I could probably do it some fancy shop, but you think I'm going to leave my Twin Peaks VHS at some random digitizing shop? I'd be sitting there like Stanley Kubrick watching every frame be transferred. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I definitely would love to do that, especially because I have all the original commercials. And
see, I want to see that stuff.
And also, I mean, I have all the, previously on Twin Peaks. I love all that stuff like before. That's great. And then I also have, the scene where Josie dies and then they see her in the doorknob, right? Or, the knob over the drawer. Yeah. A lot of people don't know or don't remember that was the end of the show. I mean, that was the end. They had shot the other 6 episodes and ABC pulled it.
Oh, right.
Because I remember watching it and the news came on right after and they're all like, tonight was the last episode of Twin Peaks being aired. It's over. I said, wait a minute. There's still more episodes. Nope. ABC pulled it.
I'm mortified.
Yeah, because back then there was no DVD Blu-ray sets that came out where you saw extra episodes. So it was done. It was kaput. Then enough people, this is pre-internet, but enough people flipped out that within, I don't know, was 2 months, they brought back 4 more episodes. And then we had to wait, I think 2 or 3 weeks. And then they aired the last 2 as a standalone Monday night movie, 2-hour Monday night. And that was it.
ABC
right.
Those.
But think about that. I mean, that for about 2 months or so, that Josie image was the end of the show. And then we get rumors. We would get things in TV Guide saying, yeah, they shot some scenes with License to Drive's Heather Graham. I was like, what the hell? License to Drive's Heather Graham? And Billy Zane shows up, and I'm like, what the hell?
I definitely wouldn't believe Billy Zane, but
yeah. So I was just, but yeah, that was the end of the show. And I have those news broadcasts where they're saying like tonight's the last episode of Twin Peaks. And it was
have those recorded.
Yeah.
Oh my God. People would love. Oh my God. If you could figure out.
Yeah. Listen, one of these days I'll just sit in front of my TV with my iPhone, just film it.
Anything.
Yeah.
But you're busy. You're busy now.
Well, no, but anyway, a lot of people don't know that. And so, I mean, because, we all watch this stuff on Netflix or Blu-ray or whatever.
I mean,
but you have to remember like how horrible that felt. It's like,
I'm like gritting my teeth just thinking about
and it wasn't like, oh, we'll just get the Blu-ray set when it comes out and we'll see the extra 6 episodes. No,
that was it.
It was over. ABC wasn't going to air anymore. So there it is. Anyway, let me just wrap this up by saying that tomorrow morning, between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m., probably around 6:30 or so, West Coast time, I am launching the Indiegogo campaign for the Twin Peaks fan film I'm going to be doing. So if I hope you guys support it, and if you're unable to donate to it, I totally understand, but just please, take that link and send it to everybody put it on the Twin Peaks sites, tweet it out. Just get the word out there. The website 25 years later yesterday put up an article interview with me. So that was very nice of them to do that. And so thank you very much for helping with that. But yeah, I am super excited, Joey. I am putting my mouth, my money where my mouth is, I guess.
Yes.
I've been talking about doing this for 25 years on and off, but it wasn't until recently that I kind of said, yeah, I've been thinking about doing this again. And I started just getting this influx of people just saying, do it. So
do it.
Yeah. And so, you know what? That sounds fun. It sounds a lot of fun. And I was talking with you about this, and I think I'm pretty sure everybody else would really enjoy this. If the movie is funded, and I'm going to do it, besides doing, other videos and that type of thing, one thing that I want to do with this YouTube channel is during the duration of pre-production, production, post-production, kind of turning this YouTube channel a little bit into sort of like a production diary, the warts and all making of this film.
I 1,000% want to see that.
I think it'd be a lot of fun, and I think it would be really interesting, not only for Twin Peaks fans, but like independent filmmakers. Like, how do you start a film and make it all the way through?
I mean, I'm an indie filmmaker too. I love stuff like that. Even if I couldn't care anything about the movie, I still love it. But I think this is going to be a scenario where I take something away from everything. I'm all for it, man.
I just think it'd be a lot of fun. I mean, of course, I'd have to make sure that hashtag keep the mystery alive. It's funny. I got a comment today from somebody on the Twin Peaks Worldwide page that said, listen, I follow your podcast, and I'm happy you're going to do your film, but stop thinking you're David Lynch and Mark Frost. It's a fan film. Get over yourself. Blah 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 blah. And I'm thinking, one, I'm not over myself. I'm not trying to make myself into something bigger than I am. I'm saying that, I want to do this film, and I'm going to do it if I can. Lynch and Frost are human beings just like everybody else. Exactly. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to just leak everything on the internet for, because of one person who, has a complaint about something. So, and also we're talking about people who have very limited sense of what a fan film can be. A lot of people think a fan film is just some silly piece of trivial thing that someone puts together, and, and it's, it is what it is. And, just basically people ignore it. My feeling is, go big or go home. And if you're going to do this, if I'm going to get up and plan this thing and, get people involved and go to locations and shoot stuff, and it's got to be worth my time, and it's got to be worth other people's time to watch it. And it's got to be other people's worth their time to act in it or do things behind the scenes. I'm not going to ask anyone to do anything if I didn't feel like this should be done. Right. And so that's where I'm coming from. And so to me, the minimum bar for me is to make something that truly honors Twin Peaks.
A true fan film.
Right. Anything over it would be great. But it needs to, in my opinion, it needs to be, when you watch it, you go, wow, this film truly respects where it's coming from. And then, you can decide if you like it or don't like it. But
I mean, you're not pushing it on people saying, this is me. I'm trying to be David. I don't know. I think it's just, it'll be fun. And at the very best, it'll be fun.
Well, yeah, it'll be super fun. And listen, I'm not even worried about it. I'm so enthusiastic and happy and I'm just really hoping that I can do this. But I've never said, oh, I'm David Lynch and Mark Frost. No, I've always been me. I'm hugely inspired by their work and this world they've created. And I feel like I have a story to tell. And they've conveniently left me enough gaps in their storytelling to be able to tell it. And, that to me is awesome. And I know that they're not going to touch this material ever. And so why not do it? To me, listen, if I was, if someone else did this, I'd be like super like, yeah, especially, I'm not just coming out of the woodwork. I didn't just, start doing Twin Peaks videos, for season 3 and just being like, okay, now I'm going to make my Twin Peaks fan film. I've been talking about this for 5 years. I've been a huge fan for, most of my life.
You've lived with it.
I've lived with it. And also people know that I'm not just doing this to like, just, I don't, I'm not like taking advantage of the property or something like that. I'm just, I'm trying to honor the property.
I mean, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a cool story, guys. I'm telling you.
Right.
Get excited.
George says, got to kick that negativity to the curb. It's only a couple people, guys. It's always the same 5 people who give me thumbs down. I know it. You know, every video of mine, it's not, I know a video has not reached its full audience until I get those 5 thumbs down. SPF 50 says, just make sure you play Cole. It's really funny how a lot of people are like saying that I should play Cole. Whereas one of the great comments I got was someone said, how much money will it cost you to go back in time so you can play Cooper when you were 18 years old? Because they saw his old pictures of me and they're just like, oh, you should have played Cooper. And I was like, yeah, I know, right? I should have. But now everyone wants me to play Cole. Mentine Coma says, idea for a Twin Peaks spinoff sitcom called Everybody Loves Steven. Now that would be, I would love it. Just, you know, just a scene of him just doing drugs, dealing drugs, passing out, and then with an audience laugh track underneath it. It's like Natural Born Killers all over again.
He's roommates with a rhinoceros.
Exactly. Anyway, so tomorrow morning, guys, this is going to be super fun. And no matter what, I'm intrigued, even just on a level of what's going to happen. I mean, I've been talking with Joey, I've been talking with others about like, what is going to happen? It's either going to be, okay, let me just, I don't want to jinx it, but let's just say it's either going to be a tremendous success, this campaign, which I really hope it is, or it's not even, it's going to like bring in like $25. I don't think it's going to be, I don't know.
I mean, you'll have $25 from me at least. At least.
Okay. Well, I got something. But again, this is an all or nothing campaign. So if it doesn't reach even the minimum, you don't get charged. So, you know, it's no harm, no foul. And, you know, you can, you know, I have perks that go, you know, all the way down, you know, to $1. So, you know, you know, I'm so nervous. I've never really, I mean, I've done crowdfunding before, but never to this scale. Yeah. With this huge of an audience, and you know, the posts, the pictures, the articles, they're getting likes, they're getting retweets, and I'm just like, where, you know, I'm trying to get a feel. You know, it's kind of like a, you know, like a Hollywood studio tries to do tracking to see, okay, when this movie opens, what's it going to do? I don't know. It's, I mean, there's enough interest that I think it could do really well, but who knows? Who knows?
I can't tell at this point. Guys, use your social currency. If you can't donate, you know, you might have followers or somebody that does like Twin Peaks and hooks on. So that's super important. Don't underestimate the importance of those retweets and stuff.
Exactly. And like I said, even if you yourself are unable to donate, just keep pushing it out there, you know, retweeting it, sharing it, because it will, there's people all around the world who watch this podcast. So, I mean, kick it every which way, you know, from globe to globe, you know, what is it? Pole to pole.
I mean, I'm going to be talking about it whenever I do a video. And I know a lot of people in the chat are fans of both of us. So thank you guys for the support. But, we're going to have to call in a favor here.
Exactly. And especially since it's, so I sillily, I meant for it to launch Tuesday, but when the teaser poster came out, I said the 23rd. For some reason, I thought the 23rd was Tuesday. I was wrong. The 23rd is Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So, oops. And of course, one of the big things it says for crowdfunding is never launch on a holiday. So I'm working, you know, well within those guidelines now. So yeah, I'm going to be launching this thing right before I get on an airplane, which is going to be insane. How insane would it be though to get off the airplane and check and like, and even be like a quarter of the way there? Like that would be amazing.
I mean, I don't know what, like, I feel like the flood, like nobody's at the gates, but everybody, like once they open, it's just gonna, I hope that's what happens.
Right.
I want to see this, guys. You guys want to see this. I'm telling you.
And even if the movie does make its goal, Indiegogo does take like 8% out of every transaction. So
Yeah.
I need to go over that goal. And honestly, like the more it goes over the goal, obviously the higher the production value is going to be. And believe me, you're going to want to see this at the highest production value we can get it to. Yeah, I really, listen, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think this was going to just kick ass.
I mean, from what I know, it's going to. Trust me, guys. Not just talking out of our asses.
Yeah, I will say this. I will say this. This is not going to be a Twin Peaks fan film where it's going to be just some pretty girl in a skirt swaying back and forth in the Black Lodge. That's not what this is.
I think people need to hear that, because a lot of fan films, it's fine, but that's what a lot of them are. Sort of these just sort of like craft store hobbled together Black Lodges, which are, everybody's having fun, but
right. And honestly, I've had a blast watching all these Twin Peaks fan films. I adore it just to see what people do, what they're up to. And also it just reaffirms of like what I'm doing is so different than what other people are doing, that it will just by its nature just stand out. And the best thing about it is, well, I mean, one bad thing about it is that, I can't make any money on this thing, but that's fine. The best thing about it though is when it's done, I get to drop it online and everybody gets to watch it for free. And, and if it's as good as I want it to be, even though it's going to have different actors and, because even if I could get real Twin Peaks actors, they can't do it because the way, guidelines are for some fan films, people who are in the original works can't like replay their characters in fan films because it hurts with the marketability of things. So there's that, which is kind of a bummer. And also because, Mark Frost and David Lynch obviously will never, ever probably, consider this film canon. But to me, honestly, that's my attempt is to do it so well that even with other actors playing characters, that the audience will like it so much that they will consider it canon to them. That's my attempt.
I mean, a fan film at its best does just that.
That's my goal. And that's why I'm even doing this or even talking it up and kind of blasting it all around social media. Because to me, I feel like, listen, Twin Peaks is a niche show.
Mm-hmm.
It's a niche audience. I mean, it's not the Game of Thrones audience, right? So right there, that's kind of stacked against me in a way because it's a niche show. It's a fan film with a niche audience. But I know how diehard and rabid Twin Peaks fans are. And if enough of us get together, we can make anything happen.
I think so too.
So on that note, we're going to wrap it up. And again, just want to say to everybody, happy Thanksgiving. I will be doing a live video tomorrow morning, just a very short one, to let you guys know that the crowdfunding site is now live, and then I'll post the link in the description. But I wanted to come on here with Joey and just talk Twin Peaks, talk David Lynch, and just say hi to everybody. And hope you guys are all having a great night. Joey, thank you so much for coming on and joining me. And I look forward to watching your video with Danielle later tonight.
Yeah, this was a good show. Like, it started with some small Twin Peaks news, but it turned into a whole different thing. Hope everybody enjoyed it.
I certainly did. And I just want to say thank you again for all your love and all your support. Really appreciate it. Make sure to like these videos, share them, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and do me a favor and support the fan film when it launches tomorrow. So thank you guys. Have a great night. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.